I am Anurupa Bhattacharjee, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, and we are here to discuss community organization and social action. For the first day of the lecture, we will be looking into two topics, that is concept of community, wherein we'll be discussing about the various concepts about communities and what exactly does this term mean. And subsequently, we'll be looking into the components of communities. To start with, we will be looking into the concept of community. Communities are identified as social units. When multiple people come together, they have some shared norms, values, and ideas. They eventually form a community. In social work terms, we also look into the concepts of geographical limitations. We also see whether they are from some specific culture or background. And likewise, there are various other factors which is considered to consider a community. It implicates some of the commonalities which involves place, norms, religion, values, customs, and identity. Nowadays, communities can be virtual as well. But as of now, let's focus into the idea of communities being within a geographical area. In social work concept, we look into communities as an entity to work with. The primary method of social work, being community organization, checks this concept as one of the most vital concepts to work into. The intervention models designed and how exactly will we deliver our services to people depends upon all of these to consider. We will move ahead with the various perspectives that is involved in terms of the community's concept. The first is the systems perspective. Systems perspective basically looks into some of the concepts like living creature, and it comprises of various other representative factors which involves functions, activities, interest, and the operation that happens within the communities. The major concept of social functioning that runs into the veins of practice and social work is somewhere relative to this particular concept of system perspective. We'll look into the systems, we'll look how exactly do people work within a community. We see how the communities actually function, what are the various functions that people need to take care of. What are the various things, what are the various activities that needs to be catered for running a community. All of these together forms what is known as the systems perspective. Moving on to the next, which is the social perspective. Now, social perspective has a slightly different definition wherein we are discussing about the social and political networks of the individuals. So, it could be anything related to the critical planning, it could be anything related to the social relationship that people have with each other, how the communities are bounded together, how actually they find the cohesiveness and consensus among the people. Social perspective looks into the factor of human relation. It looks how the community will be formed when we all agree to live with each other and in harmony. This concept is very, very important in social work domain because we usually give more emphasis to human relationships, and any community which has a distorted relationship will obviously have numerous problems in its functioning. Hence, this perspective is somewhere absolutely relatable as soon as we go into the intervention model. Moving on to the next, which is virtual perspective. In the era of social media and in the era wherein we are connected to each other in virtual platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or whatsoever, we also kind of call it a community. We do not require a physical presence when it comes to the virtual communities. We require computer-mediated communications, something that is totally dependent on the virtual fields. Nowadays, it's much more relatable as we have built numerous communities when it comes to the virtual communities. It could be followers of different perspectives. It could be a job field. It could also reflect to various other platforms that we ourselves want to enroll. The next is individual perspective, which is much more relatable to the millennial versions. Here is where we take membership of the community as per our own will. Our own senses define which kind of community do we want to be a part of. The kind of engagements that we have within the community. Moreover, the sense of belonging is defining concepts of this particular individual perspective. Here is where people need that kind of affirmation and that kind of consensus in the community wherein they would like to be a part of and will always have the benefits whatever can be catered by the community. There is no one in such communities who are there by force. Rather, they believe in having a community membership out of their will. The next concept that we would be looking into is the components of community. The first is effective community leadership. As a community has a lot of people, lot of minds, different perspectives, we need leaders who can lead us to a common genre to obviously achieve our objectives. For that reason, effective leaders become a very, very important concept in communities. It could be political leaders, it could be social leaders, it could be people who know how to actually have all the activities aligned within a community. Hence, effective leadership is one of the primary components when it comes to communities. The next is citizen participation. Nothing can occur as one-man show. We need a lot of people coming together into one platform and working towards the needs and requirements of the community. But the main agenda that we consider in social work is informed consent. We want the people to understand what they have signed up for. We want the people to understand how they can actually achieve better in life. We want the people to have a clear indication about their goals and responsibilities, and that's how we imply this citizen participation in an extremely transparent and informed manner, wherein everybody is clear about their deliverables in the community. The third goes as sense of belonging. Being in a community, it is absolutely necessary to know where we belong. We have to have that kind of idea and perspective wherein we will be a part of the community, working upfront, believing in it, contributing to its development and growth. Hence, sense of belonging becomes extremely important as and when we are a part of the community. The fourth comes as fostering healthy families, individuals and youth. Health has been given a lot of weightage post-COVID era. Health is where we will be building up strong communities who know what kind of functions need to be performed and what kind of roles they have. Hence, fostering health or fostering healthy families, individuals and youth has become a very prime concern of the communities. We need people who are healthy enough, not just physically, but also mentally, socially and emotionally, basically implicating to the definition of WHO when we talk about health, which will also implicate a healthy community to live in. The next is lifelong education and learning. Here is where we give emphasis to a lot of legal aspects wherein we want equal rights, equal opportunities, equal learning for all. Education is obviously our right, both our human right and a fundamental right. And here is where we want people in the community to have the opportunities of learning and be educated every time. The next is community services, facilities and utilities. This could involve multiple things into its perspective. When we are talking about services, all the services that the public can enjoy, all the services that is required for a healthy life, basic needs, complex needs, whatever it must be, but the services are entitled for all. The next is facilities, something that all the human beings look up to. If you have a life full of resources and facilities, you can actually live a better life. So we do focus on having proper facilities when it comes to community living. And of course, utilities, sometimes luxurious, sometimes basic, depending upon the situation and the factors. We bring these utilities into concern because these days human beings require a lot more resources to live a better life. And in such cases, this utilities become a primary domain of practice. The next is recreational and cultural heritage. Till now, we have been talking about the needs, whether it's complex, whether it's basic. Now we'll be talking about the recreational and cultural needs. All of us have affinity towards some specific culture, some specific religion, some specific spiritual activity, which we want in our life, and we want the presence to be continuous. In all such cases, whenever the absence of these things happen, the community living is also somewhere disrupted. Recreation involves all the facilities that can be provided for mere enjoyment sometimes, or at least living a healthier life. And the cultural heritages, all our basic culture that we would like to carry forward as and when required, we need these in the communities. Hence, it is one of the major components of community living. Economic vitality, obviously without money it is quite difficult to survive. Hence, economic stability is what we look forward to in communities. Basically, in communities, we also see opportunities of economic growth and development. Many people migrate because of that. Many people actually switch jobs because of that. Many people shift from communities to communities because of that. Reason being, this is one of the most primary reasons of living in a community. When one person is provided with all the opportunities, whether it's physical, mental, social well-being, along with that, even economic achievements are given prime consideration. And finally, growth and development. None of us want to be in the same position forever. We want growth and development in every sphere, whether it be opportunities, whether it be life levels, whether it be anything related to the development factors that human race keeps into consideration. All of us look out for opportunities that will give us an upper hand in our life. And in all such cases, growth and development also becomes a very primary criteria when it comes to living in communities. So that's all about this lecture series. We'll be coming back shortly with other topics from the unit. Thank you.